All right, welcome back, guys. We have some more content regarding the central nervous system that we're going to discuss today. All right, so let's go ahead and continue where we left off. Last video was super short because we unfortunately didn't cover too much in class. So here's where we got to talk about. We're going to talk about some other structures of the brain, talk about some brain disorders, and then get a little bit into some of the nerve stuff, and then we'll be concluded for today. And then we just have one more video after that, and we'll be all done. So first of all, there are two parts of the brain that we need to discuss: Broca's area and Wernicke's area. Paul Broca, this gentleman right here, he discovered a man who had a speech disorder but could still understand spoken language perfectly. So he started theorizing there must be different parts of the brain that are going to be useful for talking, and then other parts of the brain that are going to be useful for understanding and listening. So what was eventually discovered, and Wernicke was a person who was also discovering this type of stuff, was that Broca's area was mainly involved with producing speech, writing, and language processing. So right now, I'm actively using my Broca's area. Wernicke's area, on the other hand, is responsible for the comprehension of speech, so actually understanding what you're hearing. I have a mnemonic to remember this. It's pretty straightforward. For Broca's area, I think of a common Spanish word, boca. Boca is your mouth. You open your mouth to talk, right? So that's easy enough for me to remember. Boca, Broca, mouth, talking, got it. Here we can see Broca and Wernicke's area, right? Broca's area is going to be a little bit in the frontal and parietal lobes. Wernicke is going to be in the temporal and also a little bit in the parietal lobe. That's one of the things that makes the brain so difficult. There's just so many different regions and jobs and responsibilities because obviously we're a rather complex creature. I love this diagram. I think this is a very, very, very helpful diagram overall. I'm actually going to slide that down just a little bit. I would be comfortable with this. It shows all in color coordination where the different structures of the brain that we need to know, including the brainstem. And it also shows you what it looks like in a real brain, a real human brain. So I think this is a very, very good diagram. I would just be prepared to know this stuff. All right, I'm going to slide this out of the way so that I don't cover that anymore. Okay. Some common brain disorders to discuss. So first of all, we have cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a condition in which damage to the motor control areas of the brain, either before, during, or after, or shortly after birth, can cause paralysis of one or more limbs. Now, that paralysis is typically spastic paralysis, meaning it's not full on, you have no control, but sometimes it's just, less control than normal or just spazzing, like literally the limb is spazzing itself. So cerebral palsy is one of those conditions, though, that you can learn to adapt to. At a very young age, it's very common to have these crutches to help move and gain strength in your upper body. But it is one of those conditions that can at least be adaptable. Next, we have some dementia-based conditions. Dementia is identified by progressive loss of memory, shortened attention span, personality changes, reduced intellectual capacity, and motor control deficit. So two main dementia conditions that we need to be comfortable with is Alzheimer's and Huntington's. Alzheimer's disease is a brain disorder of the middle and late adult years characterized by dementia. It's a very common condition, very tragic. In late stage Alzheimer's, you start to forget who you are. You start to forget what your daily activities are and what you're supposed to be doing. So obviously, it can be rather tragic. The good news is there's a lot of amazing research being conducted. We're learning more and more every day as far as things that we can do to help prevent Alzheimer's or slow down the rate of Alzheimer's, which is amazing. Until the day comes that a cure is found, this is good progress. Huntington's disease. This is an inherited condition, so this is passed down your family. It's characterized by chorea, which is purposeless movement, so moving without any purpose to it, progresses to severe dementia. The thing with Huntington's is that this is a condition that can affect people at a young age. So we have to be very careful. This is a big reason why, especially since this is an inherited condition, that I do think it's a good idea to have a genetic test done if you have a partner who you're maybe considering to form a family with. Here we can see a normal brain, and then to the right as a brain affected by Alzheimer's. You can see literally cerebral tissue missing. Okay, brain disorders. So let me go ahead and slide this up just a bit so I can fit everything. There we go. Okay, so in regards to the brain disorders, there's one last group that we need to discuss: seizure disorders. Seizure disorders, by definition, is a sudden burst of abnormal neural activity that results in temporary changes in brain function. So that includes epilepsy, which is one of the most predominant forms of seizure disorders. It's just characterized by recurring seizures. The good news is that if you learn what your trigger is, if you learn what can cause a seizure to occur, so typically it can be like loud sounds, certain emotions, and for most people it's going to be light. So strobe lights, for instance, then you can try to prevent a seizure from happening, which is good. The device used to measure electrical activity is called an electroencephalogram. Literally, if you break that word down, electro means electrical, encephalo means brain, gram just means measurement. But this is a simple thing that they apply a gel and some nodes onto your skin, doesn't hurt at all, and they measure the electrical activity. As you can tell here, under the effects of a seizure, it's a massive spike of electrical activity. Finally, one of the last things we have to talk about are the cranial nerves. Regarding the cranial nerves, there are 12 of them. I had to learn all 12 when I was in college. We don't need to learn all 12. Just 5 is fine by me. And make sure you understand what the Roman numerals are. I've learned that, unfortunately, some people don't know what Roman numerals are. So cranial nerve 1 is going to be olfactory. That is your sense of smell, right? Cranial nerve 2 is going to be optic. The optic nerve is just all about sight and vision. We're going to jump up to cranial nerve 7. So this is number 7. Facial nerve. The biggest thing about facial that we need to know is that it's concerning your facial expression. So it controls a lot of the muscles of your face. Next, we have cranial nerve 8. So I'll just make sure we know that. That's going to be your auditory or vestibulocochlear nerve. Not only is auditory associated with hearing, right, audition, it's also associated with balance. So that's pretty important. And then the last one to discuss is cranial nerve 9, glossopharyngeal. That sounds super complicated, but if you look at this suffix, pharyngeal, pharynx, it has to do with swallowing. It's also associated with taste as well. Here we can see all 12 of these. We don't need to learn or worry too much about that, but it shows you a little bit about what they are and what they're involved with as well. All right. So that's where we're going to conclude. Not too much left, as you can tell. We got one video left, and then we'll be done with the central nervous system. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you on the next one.